Okay, welcome back to Universes Beyond, everybody. I've got an extremely unique, awesome build of Celes Rune Knight for you all that's centered around the Nazgûl. Celes can be the queen of the Nazgûl. I can't wait to talk about this one. I think the thing that I love about our channel, Universes Beyond, is we look at these commanders and we build unique ways to bring them to life all of the times with multiple different deck tags that aren't boring. Lots of the content creators that you see out there create these boring kind of one-dimensional deck tags and that's it. They don't revisit it. For me, I've been playing a shit ton of games with Celes. I know what Celes is really good at. I know what Celes wants to do, and I'm refining Celes as I go. This is such a fun build for Celes, and I can't wait to share it all with you. So, without further ado, make sure you hit the sub button, make sure you hit the like, and I will get into today's video. So, Celes Rune Knight. For anybody who doesn't know Celes, Celes is a Mardu commander. It's the secondary commander of the Precon Revival Trance from the Final Fantasy set. It costs Mardu colors and 1 colorless, so it's 4 mana in total for a human wizard knight. It's a 4/4. When Celes enters, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards +1. It's so insane when you can blink Celes, or you can flicker Celes, or you can double up on ETBs. It is so insane to be able to discard any number of cards and draw that many +1. You've not only got card selection, but you've also got card advantage there built into Celes. I think this is one of my favorite commanders. In fact, I think Celes is becoming actually my favorite commander out of all my decks, and I've got 25 decks now. And so this is just such an awesome commander. And then the second ability here is just nuts. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control enter, if one of them entered from a graveyard or was cast from a graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Now, as I said in my other video, and I'm not going to go into it in too much detail here, but there's so many boring ways with persist creatures to abuse that ability where, you know, a creature dies if it didn't have a -1, it goes back to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it if it's a persist creature. But this bottom ability basically mitigates that. And so, anyways, there's loads of boring stuff to do with Celes. What I'm here today is, dude, I'm so excited. This is one of the most fun ways to build a Nazgûl deck I think I've ever come across. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. So we've got the 9 Nazgûl here. Obviously, you're going to run the 9 Nazgûl. And just for context, this is not the most budget deck because each Nazgûl are around $10 to $15. But seriously, it's so much fun. Even if you could just, I'm not going to say the proxy word, but even if you want to just, like, I don't know, put a drawing of a Nazgûl and put 9 of them into sleeves and just play a game with them, see how much fun it is, because they're awesome. But yes, so the Nazgûl, it's 3 mana, right? And it's a 1/2. So immediately, Terra is in this deck, which allows you to reanimate creatures with power 3 or less. The Nazgûl are perfect for that. It's a Wraith Knight, has Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. So we want to abuse this as much as possible. We want to be able to blink or flicker the Nazgûl. We want to be able to reanimate them. We want to fill our graveyard and reanimate them en masse if we can as well. And then whenever the ring tempts you, put a +1/+1 counter on each Wraith you control. And the deck can have up to 9 cards named Nazgûl. Absolutely insane. So Celes wants you to fill your graveyard with stuff, right? Give you card selection. So get through your deck, get the cards that you want in your hand. You want some good reanimation spells. You want some flicker spells. You want some blink spells. You want to be able to get those down. Not only that, you want to be able to fill your graveyard with the Nazgûls so you can reanimate them. Not only that, the Nazgûl themselves care about +1/+1 counters. These get big damn quick, right? Damn quick. Not only that, if you're bringing in the Nazgûl from your graveyard, you'll be triggering Celes. So if a Nazgûl goes in, you get tempted by the ring, you put a +1/+1 counter on each of your Nazgûl, or well, each of your Wraiths. There are a couple of other Wraiths in here. And then if it's entered from the graveyard, you'll have another trigger on the stacks. You'll be putting another +1/+1 counter on them. So basically, if you've got one Nazgûl already, just from getting one reanimated Nazgûl in, we'll be putting two +1/+1 counters on on both of those Nazgûl. So you want to abuse this as much as possible. We also want to flicker the Nazgûl because then it will be tempting you again. So basically we want to get as many ring temps triggers as possible. So I'm going to stick these to one side. This deck is all about three things. It's all about Nazgûl and reanimating them. So reanimation is a big one. We also then want to be able to blink/flicker. And so that's also a big one. And then the last one is basically any utility that can get you to either discard cards or be able to double up on ETBs/LTBs, or be able to just mill cards into your graveyard, because you want to be able to do that as frequently as possible. Okay, now without further ado, we've got 5 different cards that allow you to flicker/blink creatures. One of them doubles up as reanimation and blinking, and it's just awesome. So firstly, we've got Conjurer's Closet. This was in my initial kind of deck tech with Celes. I've kept it in because it's just so bloody good. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control, then return that to the battlefield under your control. Doubling up on Celes's enter the battlefield trigger is just absolutely nuts, because if you can do that once, discard 5 cards, you get 6 cards back, you do it again, you can just go through your deck, get your real value pieces, and it will just start to add up, basically. Then we've got Far Traveler. So Far Traveler says, command the creatures you own have, at the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target tapped creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So essentially, with this one, it's a really cheap card. I think it's like 50 cents or something. You basically want to swing out with Celes, and then at the end step, you want to blink Celes and get some value. And the thing is Celes is just going to keep growing as well with these +1/+1 counters. So yeah, just becomes nuts. Then we've got a couple of creatures, and both of which are under power 3, and they're 3 mana. So you'll see in a moment with the reanimation, basically a lot of the reanimation spells care about them being under 3 mana or under 3 power. And so both of these work really nicely. So the first one is Fortune Loyal Steed. It's 3 mana to cast. It's a legendary creature, Beast Mount. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. And then whenever it attacks while saddled at the end of combat, exile it and one creature that's saddled it this turn, then return those cards to the battlefield under its owner's control. And so basically, you'll want to saddle Celes, right? So essentially, I can't remember how you do that. Do you tell me like that? Yeah, I think it's like that. You'll want to saddle Celes because saddle basically says the creature has to have this much power in order to, at least this much power in order to saddle it. So you'll want to saddle it, swing out with Fortune, and at the end of combat, basically you blink them both and then they come in like this. And then you'll get both of these enter the battlefield triggers again. So you'll scry, and you can stack them in whatever order you want. You can stack them so you resolve this one first. You scry 2, select them, you can put them to the bottom if you want, and then you'll get the discard any trigger. So it's even better card advantage there. Then on to the next, Gilrain. I think this is one of the most underrated blink cards out there. Oh gosh, just dropped it. So this one's 3 mana, it's a human noble, you pay 2 into it and tap it, then you exile target creature you control, and you may return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you don't, at the beginning of the next end step, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a vigilance counter and a lifelink counter on it. Okay, so Gilrain doubles up as both a blink/flicker engine. it also can protect your creature. So if someone's trying to get rid of Celes and you've got 2 mana and Gilrain is untapped, you can actually tap this, you can exile Celes, and then you can choose to have it come at the beginning of the next end step, so that if someone's trying to target it, it will come back at the beginning of the next end step, and then it will come back with a vigilance and a lifelink counter. You can also activate these abilities at instant speed. So if you had the mana left open and on your opponent's end step before you go to your turn, you can actually activate this and then basically return Celes with those counters as well. So just an unbelievable engine. And then against all odds, this is just such a good card. For 4 mana, exile target artifact or creature you control and then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So you can choose one or both. So this is just such a good card because you can basically return one of your Nazgûl to the battlefield as well with this bottom one, and you can blink a card. So you can blink Celes whilst also getting a Nazgûl into play. And so you're just doubling up on triggers and it's just awesome. Really, really good. So those are the 5 kind of blink cards. You can get more in here if you really want to. You can, really double down on blink. But I think the good thing is with this deck, you're going to be kind of getting through your deck and getting your value pieces really, really early on. And so having 5 is probably enough. But again, totally up to you guys. So next, I'm going to get to reanimation spells. So I've got a couple of bits here that are just, classic reanimation. I've got some that are on bodies. And again, it's very important that we have some on bodies because being able to, like what I said here with Against All Odds, being able to get some on bodies and be able to kind of have an end to the battlefield that brings a creature back that's mana value 3 or less is unbelievably powerful, and you can abuse that quite easily. And so anyways, so starting off with creature-based reanimation, there's one that was in the Precon itself, and that is General Leo Christoph. Maybe Christoph. It's 5 mana in total for a 2/2, and this is perfect because there's stuff in here you'll see in a minute that's like, bring a creature back that's power 2 or less or something like that. And so this is perfect. So when it enters, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. Then put a +1/+1 counter on General Leo for each creature you control. It's just absolutely nuts. So it does lots. And I love the fact that it's just an end to the battlefield. It's not a cast trigger, it's an ETB. So if you've got a way of blinking Leo, so these blink targets over here, you blink Leo and you keep bringing your Nazgûl back. They're death touchers, they're going to grow. You're going to end up with a board state of like 6 or 7 Nazgûl that are like 2020s within no time. So General Leo, this is another one from the Precon, Priest of Foul Rites. It's 2 mana in total, Oz-off colors. It's a 2/2. And you can tap it to pay 3 life and sacrifice it to return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I like this one because it doesn't care about mana value or power. It's just a good card to be able to get back what you want. And you can unearth this. So basically you can bring it back and it gains haste. So if this was one of the ones that you milled with Celes, you can actually pay 5 into it. And then because it's got haste, you can actually pay the 3 life, sack it, and then bring back something that you actually do need. And so it's just a good card, really. Then we've got Teshar, Ancestor's Apostle. So whenever you cast a historic spell, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it's a 2/2. So again, just a really, really good one. Okay, this is the face commander, Terra. Wait, before I continue, I'm going to swig this tea. Damn, Yorkshire Gold. It's the best tea on the planet. All right, Terra. So it's a Mardu commander, 3/3, legendary creature, human wizard warrior. At the beginning of combat on your turn, mill 2 cards. Terra gains flying until the end of turn. Then when Terra deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 colorless mana. When you do, return target creature card with power 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. You'll see here a lot of the creatures well, actually every creature that we've covered so far has power 3 or less. And so Terra is just going to be such a good include in this deck. Then we've got another one that was in the Precon. We've got Rise of the Dark Realms. I think this is a very expensive card, to be totally honest with you. However, if you're in a pinch and it's the last, few turns of the game and you've got all 9 Nazgûl in your graveyard and you draw into this, oh, dude, what a killer move that would be. Because you'd get all of the individual triggers of when the Nazgûl enter the battlefield. If you have Celes out, technically you're only going to get one of the bottom abilities because this one card would bring all your creatures back. But you'll get +1/+1 on everything. And then every Nazgûl will be buffing up the other Nazgûl. So yeah, I think Rise of the Dark Realms has a place. I think it's very expensive, but hey ho, moving on. Then we've got Bishop of Rebirth. It's 3 colorless and a white. Vigilance. When it attacks, return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. And then the last one is another creature from the Precon. It's 4 colorless and a white, so 6 mana in total. Giant. When this creature enters or attacks, you may return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's just such a great card. I think because it's a 6/6, it's got Vigilance, a lot of the time you'll be able to get that attack trigger. And I think even if it doesn't deal combat damage, just getting 2 creatures back from the graveyard from 6 mana, or if you reanimate this guy, you can, it's just a really, really good card. And then there's some other ones, and again, there's lots from the Precon here, and I think, dude, the Precon just does so many good things, and this is what I was saying in my original video, is that the reanimation side of it is the strongest, and so this is the route that I've taken it in, is Graveyard Matters, Reanimation, and Blink. This is the thing with White and Nazgûl. Blink! Being able to continually blink Nazgûl? Yeah, insane. Alright, Stitch Together. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Return that to the battlefield instead if there's 7 or more cards in your graveyard. You will have 7 or more cards in your graveyard. No worries. Then we've got Reanimate. Everyone knows what this does. You basically just grab a creature from your graveyard, put it into your battlefield, and you lose life equal to the mana value. No worries. The mana value is only 3, so it doesn't matter. The Falcon, Airship Restored. 3 mana to cast a legendary artifact vehicle, and you can crew it for 2. It's a 4/3. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may sack it. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then you can basically pay 5 into it to trigger Celes's bottom ability, and you'll be able to return it to the battlefield tapped. Actually interesting. I don't know if that would trigger Celes because it's actually not a creature when it enters. I don't think that would trigger. No, I don't think that would. Anyways, still banging ability, and you'll be able to repeatedly get this back, and you'll be able to reanimate things at will. Then we've got Phoenix Down. I really like this card. It's 1 white, a mana to cast, and you can pay 2 into it to exile this artifact, and you can either return target creature card with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, or you can exile target skeleton, spirit, or zombie. I'm sure there's some lore around why there's, a limitation of skeleton, spirit, or zombie. I have no idea, but it's I think it's this top one which I care about anyways. Cool, okay, then we've got Coin of Fate. It's 1 and a white. When this enters, surveil 1. Great card selection again. 3 colorless and a white. You can tap it, exile 2 creature cards from your graveyard and sacrifice this artifact. Opponent chooses 1 of the exile cards. So basically, if you exile 2 Nazgûl, then they're going to choose a Nazgûl. So at a pinch, you've got that option. You can also choose 1 Nazgûl and 1 of your other big creatures, and they're going to be left with a really, really difficult decision to make. And so, either way, pretty good. If there's one card that I would actually cut from this deck, it's this one. It's okay. It's good for 2 mana, but then you have to pay 4 into it. Yeah, it's okay. Right. If you wanted to cut something, I'd probably cut this one. Anyways, and then we've got Unburial Rites. It's 4 colorless and a black. return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then it has flashback for 3 and a white. So a lot of the time you'll discard this by this ability to get the cheaper reanimation cost from this. But even if you wanted to hold this in your hand, you know, you can reanimate 2 creatures from this one singular card, which is pretty good actually. This is one of the best cards in this deck. If you get this into your hand, you want to play this as early as possible because your Nazgûl are power 2 or lower. At the beginning of your upkeep, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures. Absolutely nuts. So for 5 mana, every turn you're going to be able to reanimate 2 Nazgûl. And they will trigger themselves, they will trigger Celes, and you're putting +1/+1 counters on them. It's just ludicrous. From that one interaction, right? So let's say you didn't have any Nazgûl. You trigger this, you have 2 enter. So you've got 2 of these ring temps abilities. The first one enters, right? The ring tempts you, put a +1/+1 counter on each wraith you control. So it's gonna get a +1 from this anyways. So actually that will be 2 +1/+1 counters, but Celes will see them enter and they'll get another one. So just from coming in, this one first Nazgûl will get 3 +1/+1 counters. Then the second one enters, it will be tempted again. And then this one will not only have the 3, sorry, wait a minute, I'm getting lost here. This one enters, that will put another +1/+1 counter on this. So this will have 4. This one will see itself. So the ring will tempt it. It will get a +1/+1 from this. It'll get a +1/+1 from this, +1/+1 from this. So this will get 3. This will have 4. So from one interaction from this, you'll get 4 +1/+1 counters on the first Nazgûl, 3 on the second one, which is just absolutely insane. And then the next turn, if you've got 2 more Nazgûl, that will trigger both of those, putting counters on each of them. It's just nuts. Smile at Death is just such a good card. Then we've got Unearth. This is just brilliant because the Nazgûl are mana value 3 or less, and you get to return 1 for a single black mana back to the battlefield. Ever After. For 6 mana, you get to return 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. They're zombies in addition to their other types. But you also put this on the bottom of your library. So there's a chance that you'll get through this again and you'll be able to play it again. And then we've got Valkyrie's Call, which is just a brilliant one. So whenever a non-token, non-angel creature you control dies, return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. He has flying in addition to its other, and is an angel in addition to its other types. So basically, if someone kills your Nazgûl, right, it's gonna go away, hit the graveyard, and then immediately come back, which will trigger Celes, and it will get a +1/+1 counter on this. And then if there are any other Nazgûl, they'll also do that, and you'll get the enter the battlefield trigger. So someone's just gonna try and get rid of your board state, and as long as they're not exiling it, you're just gonna keep growing. It's just insane, insane value. And then Coiling Rebirth. So this is 3 colorless and a black. Gift a card, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then if a gift was promised and that creature isn't legendary, create a token copy that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1. So basically, for 5 mana, you're gonna get 2 Nazgûl, they will trigger, and you'll just keep getting the +1/+1 counters. It's just absolutely nuts. So you can see where we're going. A lot of this is reanimation centric. I wanted to put in quite a few creatures because that then allows us to ensure that when we're reanimating creatures, we can actually reanimate creatures that we know will reanimate within themselves as well. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. So on to the last pile, which are more centered around card advantage / utility / being able to discard / being able to mill. And so a few things. The first one is Call of the Ring. So at the beginning of your upkeep, the ring tempts you, which will trigger your Nazgûls and put a +1/+1 counter on each wraith you control. If you have, let's say you have 4 Nazgûls down, right? Let's say you've got 4 Nazgûl. One trigger of the ring tempting you will trigger each one of these. So one ring tempting you when you have 4 Nazgûl down will put 4 +1/+1 counters on each of your Nazgûl. So yeah, just bear that one in mind because before you know it, these are going to be like 20/20s and they're just going to be unstoppable. And then whenever you choose a creature as your ring bearer, you may pay 2 life. If you do, you draw a card. Just unbelievable value. And I think it's just, yeah, very powerful. Then we've got Bitter Triumph, just a good removal card, and it allows you to discard a card. So if you've got something in your hand that you don't want it, you can just remove one of your opponent's creatures or planeswalkers and also discard a card. This is one from the Precon. We've got the Warring Triad, 3 colorless, legendary artifact creature god. It's a 5/5, flying, trample, haste. As long as there are fewer than 8 cards in your graveyard, this isn't a creature. So if it's not a creature, you would be able to activate this ability at instant speed. And you can tap it, mill a card, target player adds 1 mana of any color. Just so good, right? You mill a card, we want things in our graveyard, and it will add mana of any color. Then we've got Sir Conrad the Grim. So it's 5 mana in total. It's a legendary creature, human knight. Whenever another creature, so this is a long bit of text actually. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. And it has a bottom ability that can be activated numerous times. It's 1 and a black, each player mills a card. So the crazy thing about Sir Conrad, which is great in this deck, is that it's got built-in mill engine. You can activate this numerous times in 1 turn if you want to. So you can close out a game with this if it's late game and you've got, I don't know, 15 mana. You can just keep activating this. And yeah, you can, if there's, I don't know, if every time you activate it, there's 2 creatures, you're going to be draining your opponents for 2 creatures each time you activate it, which is 2 damage for each time you activate it, which is just lethal. Yeah, it's just a cool card, isn't it, really? Anyways, Rich King of Angmar is the next one. It's a Wraith, so it will be triggered to put +1/+1 counters of it from the Nazgûl. Whenever 1 or more creatures deal combat damage to you, each opponent sacrifices a creature that dealt combat damage to you this turn. The ring tempts you. Insane. So whenever 1 or more creatures deal combat damage to you, each opponent sacrifices a creature that dealt combat damage to you this turn. So basically, if your opponent deals combat damage to you and it's only with 1 creature, they're going to have to sacrifice that creature at the end turn. But the main reason I've put this in the deck is because it's a Wraith, but it also allows you to discard a card and make this creature indestructible. And so being able to keep this guy around is awesome, but being able to discard whatever cards you want is even better. Right, I'm getting through this now, blimey. Absolutely shredding through it. This won me a game. Mog Moogle Warrior won me a game the other day. I had some absolutely insane creatures and I just basically trampled over people with Mogs. So this is 3 mana to cast. It's a 1/2 legendary creature, Moogle Warrior, with lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, each player may discard a card. Each player who discarded a card this way draws a card. So basically, it incentivizes your opponents to discard a card and draw a card. Then, if a creature card was discarded this way, you create a 1/2 white Moogle creature token with lifelink. Then if a creature card was discarded this way, you put a +1/+1 on each Moogle you control. I ended up with 7 Moogles that were all 7/8s. And basically, I played the Ruinous Ultimatum, which destroyed all of my opponent's stuff. And I just swung out and won the game with Mogs. It was the best way to win the game. And I absolutely love this card. It is never leaving. No matter what changes I make, I'm keeping this because it's such a cool card to have in this Final Fantasy set. So I've got 7 cards left, okay? This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. It is Gandalf the White. It's 3 colorless and a white. You may cast legendary spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. If a legendary permanent or an artifact entering or leaving the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So it won't be triggering for the Nazgûl, but it will be triggering for something like this. So whenever 1 or more creatures enter This will trigger twice. So your creatures will be getting +1/+2 +1/+1 counters on it every time a creature comes into play when you've got Gandalf down. Not only that, if Celes enters, that will trigger twice with Gandalf. So if you flicker Celes, you'll trigger twice. There's things here like Tashar. If you cast something, it will trigger twice. General Leo, entering the battlefield, bring a creature back. If that comes in and you've got Gandalf, it will trigger twice. Just absolutely nuts, basically. And then we've got Bannon, the Returner's Leader. This was in the Precon. It's Boros colors, Human, Cleric, Rebel, 1/3. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a creature spell from among cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere other than the battlefield this turn. Whenever you attack, you may pay 1 and discard a card. If you do, you draw a card. So basically, if you've got your mill engine online, you've got your discard engine online, if your Nazgûl hits the graveyard and you just want to hard cast it, you can just do that with Bannon. And Bannon gives you card selection / card advantage built into it. So yeah, I really like Bannon. Then we've got Eye Collector, an extremely cheap card. It's a 1/1 and it's 1 black mana. It's a flyer. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, each player puts the top card of their library into your graveyard, into their graveyard, sorry. So you're just going to be milling your opponents, but you're also going to be milling yourself essentially. And I just think it's a pretty decent card overall. Then we got Millikin. This was in the Precon as well. 2 colorless. Tap it, mill a card, add a colorless. Very straightforward, but gets the job done. This is bloody awesome. Stargaze is so underrated. It's an X black. Look at twice X cards from the top of your library. Put X cards from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. You lose X life. So late game, if you've got 10 mana to put into this, obviously you want to have more than 10 life remaining. But if you've got more than 10 life and you've got 10 mana left, you can look at twice X cards, right? So if you can pay 10 into the X, you can look at 20 cards from the top of your library, put 10 of them into your hand and put the rest into your graveyard. That is absolutely insane, because if you need something like, I don't know, Rise of the Dark Realms to bring everything back, it's just really good. And it's good early game as well. Even if you can pay 3 into it, being able to look at the top 3 cards and put 3 of them into your graveyard and 3 into your hand is just really, really good. So it's a good early to mid game card. Then we've got Ripples of Undeath. It's 1 black and a colorless, so 2 mana in total. Enchantment, at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards, then you may pay 1 and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those cards into your hand. So basically, you mill 3 cards, you pay 1, yeah, you do pay 3 life, but you get to choose one of those 3 cards to go into your hand. Just a very, very good card selection tool again, and you're filling your graveyard, which is all what we want to do. And then the last card is Panharmonicon. It's a 4 colorless. If an artifact or a creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that triggers an additional time. So the Nazgûl, this doesn't state legendary creature, so just bear that in mind. The Nazgûl will enter, the ring will tempt you. You'll get tempted twice with Panharmonicon down, right? And then whenever the ring tempts you, put a +1/+1. If you've got 5 or 6 Wraiths out, you're going to get an insane amount of value. So let's say you've got 4 Nazgûl down, right? And you play a 5th, okay? This is going to be tempting you twice, okay? So you'll have the first trigger, then Panharmonicon will see that, it will trigger again. So you're going to get 2 ring temps. These all then trigger, okay? So whenever the ring tempts you, put +1/+1. You're going to get 10 +1/+1s on each of your Nazgûl, because you're tempted once, this triggers, this triggers, this triggers, this triggers, this triggers. So all of your Nazgûl are going to get +5/+5. Then it will trigger again for the second time the ring tempts you. You're going to get +10/+10 on each of your Nazgûl. It's just insane amounts of value. And then you get your blink triggers online. You blink one of them, you get another 10 +1/+1s. You see where I'm going with this deck, right? So, yeah, this is my extremely fun Nazgûl Celes build. I think it's one of the coolest builds you can do with Celes. I would love to see you guys playing it. I would love to see what you guys think of this deck tech. Like I say, make sure you hit that sub button. Make sure you like this video. I am on a mission to come up with some cool decks for you guys to play as well as me, because I don't do anything, right, in terms of creating decks that I'm not going to play myself. This is purely for my enjoyment when I go to my next LGS game night and just bring this deck and see what people's reactions are when I play something totally unique and cool. And I love the fact that Nazgûl are working in the Final Fantasy universe here, with some of the Gandalf and, you know, Lord of the Rings bits and pieces. Anyways, this is Universes Beyond. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace!